Let us start with the concept of derivative. First of all, understanding say the concept of the derivative with certain examples, and then we'll try to relate say with the chapter. Let us say that say there is an Indian company called Reliance Limited, and let us say that say this company has sold goods or it has exported goods on 1st of January, and it is going to receive the consideration in dollar currency after 3 months, and the amount of the consideration that it is going to receive is $1,000. Now we know that say Reliance Limited is basically an Indian company. So for Reliance company, the domestic currency is rupee currency. It is going to receive the consideration in dollar currency. So basically, so Reliance company is required to convert dollar into rupees at the end of the 3 months. Now, what would be the exchange rate that would be prevailing at the end of 3 months? For that, so there is an uncertainty from 1st of January point of view. From 1st of January point of view, there is an uncertainty that say what would be the exchange rate that would be prevailing on 31st of March. So, what Reliance company can do? Reliance company can enter into say a forward contract. It can enter into a forward contract for conversion of dollar into rupees. Let us say that say it is entering into the forward contract for conversion of the dollar into rupees, in which the forward exchange rate is 80 rupees per dollar. So with this forward contract, what will happen, friends? The Indian company Reliance will receive an amount of rupees 80,000 on 31st of March. It will receive a consideration of rupees 80,000 on 31st of March. This 80,000 is calculated as 1,000 into 80 rupees per dollar. Now on 31st of March, the exchange rate is like 80 rupees. I'm sorry. Now on 31st of March, whatever may be the exchange rate prevailing, Reliance company will get an amount of rupees 80,000, that is a fixed amount. That is a kind of feature that the forward contract has. Now, my question to all of you is this. Please write your answer in the chat box. Suppose on 31st of March, spot exchange rate is 82 rupees per dollar. Whether Reliance company is happy for entering into the forward contract? Write answer in the chat box. We understand that so the Reliance company is sad in this case, because we understand that say on that date the exchange rate is 82 rupees per dollar. So if at all it would have entered into like as it has entered into the forward contract, so it is going to receive only 80. If it would not have entered into the forward contract, it would have received an amount of 82,000 rupees. And suppose the spot exchange rate is 78 rupees per dollar. Then in that case, we understand that so the Reliance company would be definitely happy. Why? Because it is able to receive an amount of 80,000 instead of 72,000. That is what we understand. This is what's the kind of difference that it will make. Now, whatever this example that we have understood, friends, this is given a technical name as derivative. What do we understand with the term derivative? Dear students, Derivative is a financial transaction that derives its value based on spot rate prevailing of underlying asset the date on which contract expires. So basically, derivative is a financial transaction that derives its value based on the spot rate prevailing of the underlying asset on the date on which the contract expires. It means something like this. Basically, the forward contract is a part of derivative transactions. There are number of derivative transactions. One of them is a forward contract. This forward contract is beneficial for the company or it is loss making. That depends upon the spot rate prevailing of the underlying asset on the date on which the transaction expires. This forward contract is having a loss of 2000 if at all the spot rate is 82 rupees per dollar, and said this forward contract is beneficial for the company by rupees 2000 if the spot rate is 78 rupees per dollar. Means derivative is a financial transaction. It is a financial transaction that derives its value. What kind of value it derives? It derives a value that say entering into the forward contract is beneficial for the company or not beneficial for the company based on the spot rate prevailing of the underlying asset. What do we understand with the term underlying asset? Dollar currency in this example is considered to be the underlying asset. The date on which the contract expires, that is 31st of March in this example. Apart from forward contract, we have say certain other derivative transactions also. That includes forward contract, futures contract, option contract, swap transaction, interest rate cap transaction, interest rate floor transaction, interest rate collar agreement, forward rate agreement, and so on. So there are certain other transactions also that are considered to be the derivative transactions. In each of the transaction, what are the pros and cons, under what circumstances you will enter upon, all those things that say you are going to understand over here. This is a very basic example of the entering into the forward contract is considered to be that say you want to eliminate, you want to reduce your foreign exchange risk fluctuation. Whatever the exchange rate risk fluctuation that you have in your contract of the export, that you want to eliminate, that you want to reduce, for that say you are entering into the forward contract. Apart from reducing the risk, you may enter into the forward contract for the purpose of speculation. What do we understand with the term speculation? We understand something like this. Let us say that say we feel that say the Adani company price is going to go up in a way that say the Adani company is going to declare say the very good financial results in the coming quarter. So what you can do, you can enter into the transaction of like something like called futures contract for Adani company stock, in which say you will purchase Adani company, and if at all say the things are favorable, you will make a gain, and if at all the things are adverse, then in that case say you will have a loss. That is what say the technically that we understand. is the speculation is one of the reason for which you will enter into the like derivative transactions. This is an example of reducing the risk. Apart from that, say there may be a reason of entering into the derivative transaction is arbitrage. Arbitrage is a theoretical concept that we are going to discuss say in the coming portion. So I request all of you to write down answer. That is a note for this heading. Write down derivatives in that write down first point. Derivatives is a financial transaction that derives its value based on spot rate prevailing on the date on which contract expires. Second point, derivative transactions include following transactions. In the write down one, forward contract. Second, futures contract. Third, option contract. Fourth, interest rate swap agreement. Interest rate cap agreement. Interest rate floor agreement. Interest rate collar agreement. Forward rate agreement. With paragraph write down, and other such transactions. Third, derivative transactions include a I'm sorry, derivative transactions can be entered upon for a hedging in bracket write down reducing or eliminating risk. B. Speculation. C. Arbitrage. Mr. X is estimating price of Reliance to increase, so he is entering into forward contract of purchasing a share of Reliance on 31st of July at a price of 100 rupees. If the spot price of the share on 31st of July is 0, 40, 100, 170, 200 and 10,000. For Mr. X, you are required to calculate. There are two questions, profit or loss and show graph. I request all of you to just go through the question. Dear students, we are starting with the first derivative transaction, and that first derivative transaction is forward contract. I request all of you to pay attention. Let me explain you the forward contract as a derivative transaction. Dear students, what will happen? Understand carefully. As far as the forward contract is concerned, it is a transaction in which there would be, say, the two parties who would be entering into a transaction with one another. That is over here, Mr. X, and there would be an opposite party. Both of them are having, say, a kind of agreement or a kind of commitment to one another, in which, say, one of them is going to purchase an underlying asset and another is going to sell the underlying asset. Sir, what do we understand with the term underlying asset? Underlying asset is a very broad term. Underlying asset can be equity share of a company. Underlying asset can be a commodity. Underlying asset can be a currency. Anything, all these things can come under underlying asset. Underlying asset can be index. Underlying asset can be interest rate. Like that, so the underlying is something which is in a broad way, something for which the transaction is taken place. In case of forward contract, coming back to my explanation, in case of the forward contract, there are two parties, say, who have a transaction with one another, in which, say, one is going to purchase the underlying asset and another is going to sell the underlying asset. The question is silent and that information is also not required. Let's say there is a specific date on which the transaction is entered upon. The transaction is entered upon for 31st of July, in which Mr. X is going to buy and so the opposite party is going to sell. The question is providing the information that on 31st of July, the spot price of the security is provided to us. The term spot price or the cash market price means the price which is prevailing on that specific date is considered to be the spot price or say the cash market price. We have been provided with the different prices. The prices have been given in a range starting from as low as say 0 and going as up as rupees 10,000. For Mr. X, we can say that the question is from the forward purchaser point of view. Yes, the question is from the forward purchaser point of view. We are required to compute the profit or loss and we are required to show the diagram. Listen carefully what I am going to speak further. Over here, theoretically we understand that in order to compute the notional profit or loss for the transaction, we will purchase the security at the forward price and immediately it will be sold in the spot market. We will purchase the underlying asset, say, from the spot, that is at forward price, and immediately it will be sold, say in the market at the spot price, with that notional profit or loss will be calculated. Nowhere it has been given in the question that say on the same day, that is on 31st of July in this example, Mr. X is going to sell the underlying asset. But even though just for the purpose of notional profit or loss calculation, we are going to consider that say the security is sold, and with that say the profit or loss will be calculated. Most of the questions, not all, listen carefully, most of the questions which have been given to us in our study material or asked in examination are of the speculation, are of the stock market. So accordingly I am giving explanation to you. Definitely apart from that, I am going to give you some more explanation also, that is in the business how it can be used, and for arbitrage how it can be used, so that there will be technically called an equilibrium situation that we are going to discuss slightly later on. But importantly, what I want to tell you friends is that initially we are going to understand the transactions from speculative point of view, that say how can you encash your expectation. If at all I am expecting that say the price of the equity share is going to go up, then in that case how will I make the profit say from that situation. Not only one method, but there are multiple methods by which I will be able to make a profit. And of course each of the method will have its own pros and cons. We are going to discuss them also. Right now we cut short our explanation just for forward purchase. We'll write a small note and then I'm say proceeding further for further answer. Let us answer the question. Heading right down, forward contract. In that write down, first point, in forward contract there are two parties associated with one another. Full stop. Second point, in forward contract both of them will have a contract to purchase slash sale of an underlying asset at a fixed price, comma, it is called forward price. Full stop. In order to compute notional profit or loss comma, we assume that forward purchaser will purchase underlying asset and it is immediately sold in cash or spot market. Full stop. Let on heading calculation of profit or loss for different spot price of equity share. Now friends, we'll make the calculation of the profit or loss for the different spot price of equity share. Everybody is requested to understand the table that we are going to prepare. Column number 1 is spot price. Column number 2 is sale price. Third column is purchase price. And the last column is profit or loss. We have been provided with the different spot price of the equity share, that is 0, 40, 0, 40, 100, 170, 200 and 10,000. For each of the spot price, we are required to find profit or loss. I request all of you to complete the table and WhatsApp me photo of the table that you prepare. So friends, over here, what happens at say every time the purchase price of the security is an amount of 100. For Mr. X. Now, as I told you that we are assuming that say immediately on that date, so the security will be sold in the spot market. That is say on 31st of July in this example. So what will happen? Selling price will be 0, 40, 100, 170, 200 and 10,000. So what will happen? Difference of the sale price and the purchase price would be profit or loss. So what will happen over here? There is a loss of 100. There is a loss of 60. There is no profit, no loss. There is a profit of 70. There is profit of 100. And there is a profit of 9,900. That is the way we will have the profit or loss in the different spot price of equity share. Everybody is requested to pay attention now. Let me give you some further explanation. Friends, over here, one of the point that say we are going to cover is that say in which market situation an investor will say enter into this strategy. That is what say we are going to discuss. We are going to have a discussion that say in which market situation an investor is going to enter into this strategy. Over here, so the language of the question is also providing that information, and that is also what we understand also. The language of the question speaks that Mr. X is estimating price of the Reliance to increase. So technically it is given a name as Mr. X is bullish on Reliance. In a way that say he is expecting that say the price of the Reliance equity share will go up. So he is entering into this kind of transaction. So basically over here, Mr. X is expecting the price of the security to go up. So in that case, say he is entering into this kind of transaction. Dear students, there are multiple ways by which you can encash your expectation with respect to the price of the, that is increase in the price of the security. One of them is entering into the forward contract. See, if at all your expectation is coming true that the price of the security is more than 100 rupees, then you can see that say every time you make a profit. And unfortunately, if at all your expectation does not fulfill, then in that case you are going to incur a loss. So over here, basically we have a kind of diagram like this, wherein we understand that so the diagram starts from here. That is, when spot price of the equity share is 0, you are incurring a loss of 100 rupees. You incur a loss of 100. Whenever the price of the security increases, then in that case, initially your loss reduces. There is a point at which you have a break-even point. That is at this point of time. Beyond 100, say you start making a profit. And theoretically, we understand that say there is a potential of unlimited profit. There is a potential of unlimited profit. That is what we understand. This is the way we can have a kind of diagram, say for forward buyer. I tried to give you explanation that say under which market condition say this transaction is entered upon, what is the maximum gain and what is the maximum loss. This is the way we have the diagram. Now write down further certain points. First one, write down forward buyer is expecting price of underlying asset to increase. Full stop. Second, forward buyer has read on A possibility of unlimited profit, comma, with increase in price of security. B, loss limited to maximum forward price of underlying asset. C, break-even point is forward price of underlying asset. That is what we understand. Dear students, I am just repeating the explanation with respect to the forward contract. Forward contract is a type of the derivative transaction in which there are two parties associated with one another. In forward contract, both of them will have a contract to purchase slash sale of an underlying asset. That may be a security, that may be a currency, that may be anything else at a fixed price and after a fixed time period also. And it is called the forward price. Over here, dear students, for the purpose of making calculation of the notional profit or loss, we are making an assumption that on 31st of July, when you purchase underlying asset, immediately it is sold in the spot market. That is what we understand. Over here, for the each of the spot price, the purchase price is equal to 100, sale price is equal to the spot price, and with that the profit or loss is calculated. Forward buyer has a potential of the unlimited profit. Very importantly, as a student, you need to understand that the forward buyer is bullish. He is expecting that the price of the underlying asset will go up. If the prices are falling down, unfortunately, then in that case, say the forward buyer will incur a loss. That is what we understand.